you were just thinking about us, guys, well, I was thinking about you too. That's why I came here. Hello, Emerald City. Missed it too. All right, that didn't take long. I just came from another channel where I tried to go live, but they only have like 2,000 subscribers. I usually don't fish in such a small pond, you know what I'm saying? So came over here to my pond where I can say whatever I want, do whatever I want. Hello, y'all. You probably know who I am. You're probably subscribed. I don't know if you get notifications. If you're not subscribed, Sonny projected for the first time 10 minutes ago. Well, I'm glad you made it back in your body, Sonny. I'm Uncle Birch. If you don't know, you'll know. I teach witchcraft for a living. That's what I do. That's my thing. I originally started correspondence courses through YouTube almost 10 years ago. And now I do it through gumroad.com. That's gumroad.com/witchskewl, which is, of course, WITCHSKEWL. I have 4 year-and-a-day courses going right now and a series of other courses up on that site, downloadable courses that you can binge watch or ones that you can spend a year and a day taking. But the next one is going to start March 1st, 2020, and the class will not be available until 2020, March 1st, 2020. It costs $35 a month. It is the last time that the year-and-a-day class will be $35 a month. The next session will be $40 a month after the March 1st class. So if you want to get signed up for that, you need to send me an email at witchskewl@gmail.com. WITCHSKEWL@gmail.com. Or you can wait till March 1st when the class appears and take your chances. Sign up at gumroad.com/witchskewl, which again is WITCHSKEWL. But I do this little thing to keep my teaching muscle strong. I expose myself to the world of witches, the wide, wide world of witches, and allow them to ask random questions. It helps my teacher mind. It helps my skill level stay up. And it's my pro bono work for the community. It's my community service work to keep, actual craft teachings out there. Because there's so many people out there teaching crap or just repeating what they've heard. Anything I teach, I have experienced and done my own experimentation and come to my own conclusions. If I ever repeat a thing that I heard, I'll tell you, well, I heard this. I have heard that. It has been said that. These kinds of things. But other people, they wish they were a teacher, and they just get out here and they repeat a lot of shit they heard. Some of the most common things we hear out here is intent is all that matters, and do whatever you feel. Both of those being absolute bullshit and totally wrong. People feel all kinds of shit. When's the last time that your feelings were absolutely right? You might get a gut feeling about something here and there that might be right, but if you just follow your feelings in the world, probably having a pretty rough life. But we did this thing called Ask Uncle Birch, and there's only a couple rules because I'm still an anarchist. You can ask any question about any kind of magic. Try not to be too long-winded, and try not to ask me a question when I'm answering a question. So let me see. Hey, Birch, can you help me get rid of the ants in my house? Once you got them in the house, man, it's going to be poison time. That's like the only way, or an ant motel, or one of those kind of things. Joshua, but what you need to do, because I've taught my kids this too, kill the first few ants you see. When you see, 2 or 3 ants around, kill the motherfuckers. Those are scouts. If the scouts don't make it back, the army will not come. You may be averse to killing creatures, so you get to decide, kill 3 or 4 or kill 3 or 4 million, which is what's going to happen once they're in your house. The way you can get them next time, kill the scouts. Always kill the scouts. If you see just a couple ants, kill them, kill them, kill them. You know, when you have trails of ants, then it's too late. Then you got to go mass genocide on the ants. But that was a good question, having nothing to do with magic. Let's see. Don't get ants in your pants. Absolutely. What hello, size. I have ants in my indoor Aubrey Camino plant. And they keep aphids on it. Yeah, ants will farm aphids. They do that. They enslave them. You know, I do know one person in my email that was growing an indoor Aubrey Camino plant. The name didn't sound familiar, but maybe that's you. I've tried here in Southern California 2 different times. Aubrey Camino just really will not take, but we'll see in the future. Maybe they'll grow it from seed, or they'll do better. What was that? Was that a question? Oh, that was you. Okay. All right, so they got the aphids. Well, God, I'm not sure how ladybugs are going to do with the ants, but that's, you know, the best way to deal with aphids. Yeah. But they got ants farming aphids. Ants will fucking do that. They'll like enslave aphids.
I know. Well, they will at least eat the aphids, and the ants won't have any reason to be there if they're enslaving the aphids. So maybe the ants will just leave on their own if all their slaves are getting killed.
But also, it's an indoor plant, so there'd be like ladybugs all over the house.
Okay, well then they need to get that soap stuff. I forgot what it's called. It's something soap.
Some sort of soap.
Spray it on leaves.
Some sort of soap you spray on leaves.
And it's not toxic.
It's not toxic.
I forgot what it's called though. Some kind of soap. You can Google it or something.
Yes. Yeah, Google soap for killing aphids, and you'll probably come up with it.
It's like something like I don't even remember. But there's a product that kills aphids.
Oh, Dawn. Somebody said Dawn. That makes sense.
Yeah. If you put Dawn in water, that works too.
Thanks, Birch. Do you have any good practice on starting a new business? Brick and mortar or internet? Business. That would change. Get back to me on that. Mobile. You still could do it. Let's see. You get yourself a Rose of Jericho. Actually, you want 2. You put the Rose of Jericho in a bowl of water with 5 coins. Usually different denominations. 5 coins in the bowl of water. Put it in on Monday. On Friday, you use the water and the Rose of Jericho to sprinkle around like holy water. So if it's like mobile, if you're like from a car or something like that, sprinkle it around your car. If you got like an office space, sprinkle it around your office space. And usually on Friday, you switch it out. You put new water in. So that's why you want the other Rose of Jericho. If you keep using the same one, it gets slimy. So you take the new Rose of Jericho on Friday, start it again. More water with the coins, put the Rose of Jericho in there. On Friday, we sprinkle it again, and then put the new Rose of Jericho. So we switch them out every Friday. And then that keeps them from getting slimy. And every time the Rose of Jericho is going to come back to life, even though it was seemingly dead. And then in the interim, when it's sitting around the bowl of water, usually that's near the entrance where customers are going to come in, or, you know, however you're doing it. It's like by the computer where you're doing your business, something like that. Wherever your business is coming in, the bowl sits there. So the bowl's drawing these things in, then we sprinkle it around to bless the place every Friday. I did that in my shop for years. It's a great technique. So we're doing Ask Uncle Birch. Let's see. Here's people asking Uncle Birch.
Did you pull the laundry? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Emerald City Mystic, I still have your email to answer about the business thing. I got some serious projects going on. I'm surprised I was even able to use those projects. So, came on here and went live. How do you figure out what you should specialize in for a witchcraft business if you have multiple interests in providing products and services? I'd say, well, first of all, go with your interests. You're going to be, better at, the type of witchcraft that you're most interested in, be it herb magic, healing. I know you do psychic readings and stuff like that. I'd really want to have them all. And if I had an actual business, I could do them all. So, and I was always at my shop, which is one of the reasons why I don't have a brick and mortar anymore. Once I realized that I was making my living off the internet teaching witchcraft and using most of the money to keep my brick and mortar open, it's a terrible business model. And I had always taught people, and I'm teaching that in your class too, that if you can figure out a way to make money online off the internet somehow, some internet-based business, you're not locked into the one cycle that complicates most people's life, the cost of living. Now, typically, if rent is cheap, jobs are scarce. If, if rent is cheap, jobs are scarce. So you go to places where, it's really, really cheap to live and there tend to be no jobs there. That's why everything's based on a cost of living. But if your living is coming from a non-geographical point, you can live anywhere you want. So when I closed my brick and mortar, we moved kind of to this redneck town for a little while. And then as soon as we didn't like that, we pulled up stakes, we moved to Hollywood. My business can be anywhere. But if your business is, like a brick and mortar, you're locked into the cost of living of that particular area. And also there was, the having to be there 8 hours a day. But I also had people specialize. I employed psychics. I employed people doing other things. We would do, house clearings and that kind of stuff. But I trained other people to do those kind of things, so I didn't have to be the only one to do it. But first off, start with what you're interested in, and what floats your boat. You're going to make better, products that way. If you're interested in incense and oils, you're going to make better incense and oils. So yeah, start with your interests and then expand later down the road, or get people to do the things that you don't do. Teresa, hello, Michael and Marta. Hope you guys are well. Good.
Teresa,
we hope you're well too.
Hi, Teresa. We're gonna be opposite.
Emerald City really appreciates you and Marta too. XOXO.
Oh, is that the pipe people?
The witch? It's a spirit witch, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Emerald.
I wasn't sure if that was the guy who said you the pipe.
No, I'm not sure.
Emerald City?
I don't think it's the same people.
Okay.
It was one of my students. So, let's see. Since you asked what floats your boat, it's water displacement versus mass versus weight. If you get the correct balance, it should float. Yeah. Back we were in Santa Cruz. The town next door to us was one of the last resting places of one of the last concrete boats. They did that for a while. They made concrete boats. They had like a series of, it was kind of like a honeycomb in the concrete of air pockets. Fucking things floated. I don't know who the hell wanted to come up with that idea, but somebody did. Feel like my magic energy level has been drained in winter, having trouble building it up lately. Guess my sleep has been terrible. Any advice? Well, Sleep Terrible will do that, but like I always say, she changes everything she touches. Everything she touches changes. What she does first, she changes you to operate more like her. As you get into the craft and these, natural magics, the longer you do it, the longer you follow the wheel of the year and the seasonal cycles, the more you start to operate like those cycles. So in winter, I take a lot more naps. If I could, I'd just hibernate for a couple months. But yeah, you feel that. I get laid a lot more in the spring and summer, and I want to rest more in the winter, and that's natural. We need to run at a more natural frequency to affect nature with the magics that we do. So probably the hardest part of somebody like in a year-to-day cycle is that shift. You are shifting to a more natural vibration, a more nature vibration, and it cause great changes in your life. Some of them more difficult than others, but especially if you have winter, like when we had snow. We were living in Grass Valley. I spent a lot of time in bed looking out the window at the snow. It was the closest season I ever came to hibernating, so that does happen. But then your sleep. I find most people that have trouble sleeping can't turn off their internal dialogue. You got too much shit going on in your head. Shit you're worried about. That's the most common that keeps people awake at night. For me, I find audiobooks really good for that. And me, my go-to is the 48 Laws of Power, but that's just me. I put on, if I'm worried about shit or, my brain's going in the middle of the fucking night, man, I turn on the 48 Laws of Power and just focus on the story. And I mean, that particular text, I sleep like a fucking baby. But that's just me. That particular text might actually keep you awake at night worse than anything you've ever heard. It depends on how you take that body of work. But there are a few good audiobooks of witchcraft. I think Buckland's got some stuff out there. I know Raven Grimassi has one, The Thornblood Witch. I never really liked it. I think Starhawk's got a couple things. So, you could be like listening to it. But you just, focus on that. Like right here, we're living really close to the freeway. And at night, it kind of sounds like the ocean. We used to live by the beach. We got used to hearing the ocean all the time. I just kind of focus on that. The sound of the cars going by. Try not to think. Just try to get out of your head. That's the most common cause of insomnia I know. Worrying about shit that you can't do anything about at 3 a.m. anyways. So why the fuck do it? All right. Let's see. Let's can you talk a little about cleaning auras and the importance of it? Well, cleaning auras is different than regular cleansing. The way I learned how to do it is drawing up white light through your body. Typically, visualizing roots going to the core of the earth. We draw up the white light of the earth through our entire body, filling our entire body, and then we project it out to the exterior of our aura to cleanse it. Then we want to charge it. Typically that particular thing I learned it was for psychic self-defense. And then what we're doing is we're putting a purple shield on the exterior of our aura and filling the middle with gold flecks. It's all visualization kind of stuff. Let's see.
Do we have all put all the straws in the case down there?
Oh, I am not sure about
You
that.
gotta make sure that it's cleaner.
Yeah.
When we're done, do that. We can just put that whole thing in my purse.
Yeah.
Just take the brush.
All right.
The brush and hopefully you have pretty straws.
I remember what you said about the fires in Brazil and nature. Do you think that the fires in Australia could have been caused by the actions of mass spell work for the previous fires. Everybody's been wanting me to jump on the bandwagon with that thing. I really, I have a lot of students in Australia. I probably have the formation of a couple covens over there. And so I definitely worry about it, but I always remember this story, and that's probably a story you're talking about, and I'm going to tell you it all now. Art Bell, radio host of the 90s, used to be on over 500 radio stations at the same time across the country. And he used to have this witch come on, a strega, named Evelyn Puglini. And she taught him how to use the power of his entire audience concentrating on a thing to cause change to occur in accordance with will.
Megan Bendis karaoke at Saturn Bar on Saturday. Friday.
Yeah, Art Bell was something. I ended up on his show. If you ever want to search the archives of the Art Bell show, you look for the episode with Mr. Fidget. And I ended up on Art Bell's show talking about our pirate radio station twice. I ended up calling in and getting in 2 times in the same night, which is unheard of. And we actually got Art Bell to do a station ID for our pirate radio station, and we helped Art Bell start a pirate radio station in Pahrump, Nevada. But at any rate, there were these fires this year, all the way through the Midwest, from Texas all the way up through Canada. It was the worst fires anybody ever seen. And Art Bell had his audience concentrate on bringing rain to that region. And I always remember it was like early days of internet where we could see satellite, weather satellite footage. There was nothing over the middle of the country. There were no clouds. I watched the clouds form on the satellite out of nothing. Just in the middle of the country, clouds appeared. They rained, they rained, they rained, and they rained. And the floods and the mudslides were way more devastating than the fires had been. Art Bell never repeated that experiment and vowed never to do it again. In seeking to stop a disaster, caused several disasters by having his people, just millions and millions and millions of people, concentrate on the same thing at the same time. Hell of a power to have and to put away and never to use again. I would probably use it. But it shows the futility of fucking with nature. It's extremely complicated. And just bringing rain to a region does not solve it. There is talk of storms getting ready to hit Australia, and they're afraid of the fucking mudslides and the devastation. It's like a huge storm coming, maybe from all these people doing all this magic. Nature's complicated, man, and such a huge thing like that. I don't know. You can kill while trying to cure. Let's see if I missed any questions here.
So we're already invited to 2 things.
Question: how do I break a love spell I cast? Once a spell's cast, I don't believe in breaking it. I don't know if that's possible. Things have to run their course. You did it. You take responsibility for what you did. You eat the fruit that you have planted. It's disrespectful to nature to do elsewise. And next time, you're going to know better before you cast. You're going to know that was the right target and the right thing to do. You're going to do a lot of research. You're going to do a lot of divination. But you've got to follow that thing through. You're going to have to break up with the person, whatever. They'll probably stalk you for a while, and that's what you get. You know, especially if you chose to do a love spell on a specific target. They go wrong more than they go right when you do that. You know, all of y'all out there, think about it. How many relationships have you been in that were the right choice? How many people have you been with that it turned out to be the right people to be with? Most of us suck at that. Most of us suck at choosing the right person to be with. So to choose to be with them using a magic, well, then you're kind of stuck with what you planted. You've got to get through with that. I mean, you're gonna, probably have to break up with them, but you're gonna have to go through all of the fucking drama that entails. Other people will tell you differently, but I don't believe in breaking the spells. I break other people's spells. Maybe you could get, I guess. Now I'm thinking about it. Maybe you could get somebody else to remove that thing for you. Maybe that works, like removing a curse. But I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. You can ask around. Other people will tell you different, I'm sure. Cooling the storm is relatively easy. Yeah, I have heard people do the freezer spell, because that kind of freezes water, which is love. Basics of a freezer spell, you put them in a little baggie, some of their hair or something connected to them, a little bit of water, freeze that shit, never let it thaw. If you move, you got to put it in an igloo or something. Let's see. Used to be really into this kind of stuff when I was younger. Wow. Easier than ever to get into it. I got an entire intro course right here for free, man. Then I got other intro courses on other pages that are not for free. Yeah, that's why I don't cast love spells too. I mean, love spells go wrong more times than they go right, man. So if you're just joining us, we've got a good crowd going here. We're doing Ask Uncle Birch. I teach witchcraft for a living. I have 4 year-and-a-day courses going right now, and when the March 1st one ends, I start a new one. So I'm on a teaching frenzy, and this helps me keep my teaching muscles strong, and hopefully helps the community. If you're doing a freezer spell, bury at permafrost or visit a glacier. Well, yeah, that's great, but the glaciers are melting, If you pick a glacier that doesn't melt during global warming, I guess it'd be okay, but I don't know where that is. Good idea. Great results with the freezer spell. Yeah, it's a great spell. I don't even remember who half the people in the freezer are anymore. Y'all are talking back and forth, so I'm just checking to see if there's questions. So if you have a question about magic, any kind of magic, I'm sure I have something to say. Give it a shot. I mean, hell, we even gave advice on how to get rid of ants today. So I don't even know if it has to be magic anymore. Snake bites in dreams, are they actually bad? Problem with interpreting other people's dreams is that the dream mind is made up of a symbology that was created by the individual, you. In your dream mind, you have a symbolic language based on the experiences that you've had that only you will ever be able to interpret. But some symbols are universal, and that's where the dream interpretation journals, they'll get 2 things right and 20 things wrong. So the 2 things right they get is because some of the dream imagery is also based off of universal symbols that mean the same thing to all people. Historically, traditionally, snakes symbolize knowledge, not bad. Being get bitten. I mean, and when we look at it, it's all over the ancient text. Who was the snake in the Garden of Eden? What was the tree he hung out on? The tree of knowledge. Should be noted, the snake in the Garden of Eden told the truth. Jehovah lied through his fucking teeth. That's your God. That's your Christian God over there. Jehovah said, eat of the tree, you'll ultimately perish. The snake said, eat of this tree and you will gain the knowledge of good and evil in your own existence. They ate of the tree, they gained the knowledge of good and evil in their own existence, and realized that they were naked and were just shy and covered themselves in shit. But they did not ultimately perish. Jehovah lied. The snake told the truth. The entire ancient language of biblical times and before that is a language of metaphor. That's part of the problem with people trying to read the Bible literally. It's a metaphorical group of tales, and everybody in the Bible is something else. Most of the main characters in the Bible are actually planets or stars. And if we put the Bible back into that context, the Bible makes a whole different meaning than the Christians think it's saying. They're trying to read it literally. It's a metaphorical history book of astrology. It's an astrological history book of ancient times. Now, we go a little bit further back. Well, I guess pretty much the same time, we got St. Patrick. St. Patrick went to Ireland to drive out the snakes. Now, England's never had an overabundance of snakes. Scotland never had an overabundance of snakes. It makes no sense that Ireland would ever have an overabundance of snakes, because the reason England and Scotland don't have them is because it's fucking cold. Snakes don't like cold. Not a whole lot of snakes want to be there at fucking all. There's no reason. Ireland's never been hot. There's no reason for there ever to have been an overabundance of snakes in Ireland, and there wasn't. There was an overabundance of druids. St. Patrick was sent there to drive the druids and the Crom Cruach, another pagan cult from Ireland, and that was the knowledge of the indigenous cultures. He was there to drive away the knowledge of the indigenous cultures. That's why there were snakes. There were no physical snakes. It's a metaphoric tale. And that's a problem all the way back to, even more ancient Samaria. I mean, they were more explicit about their metaphors. And they would tell you flat out, no, that's a planet, that's a moon, that's a this, that's a that. But a lot of cultures, they talk in these metaphors, and so none of the actual characters in the Bible were people. Like in the Sumerian text, Cain and Abel were planets. Cain was a planet on an elliptical orbit that flung into our solar system, and in that text slew his brother Abel. The exact terminology that the Bible uses, but to the Sumerians they were specifically talking about planets. We probably all know that Lucifer was Venus. Lucifer was the morning star, but it actually wasn't a star. The fall of Lucifer then would be a retrograde cycle of Venus, and probably in combination with a meteor storm of about 72 meteors, the falling angels. The Bible right there, that story in the Bible is pointing to a time when another thing happened. And nobody is looking for that time. We could calculate that pretty easily. When in biblical times or pre-biblical times did Venus go retrograde in combination with a meteor storm that typically has about 72 fucking meteors. And then if we found out that time, we might find something happening on the earth that they're talking about. They're not talking about any of the shit that's happening in the Bible. They're not talking about any of the fucking characters. They're all irrelevant, and their stories are irrelevant. They're all fucking metaphors for a much larger story. As above, so below. This is fucking universal. I think I answered your question extremely And I don't even remember what your question was. Oh, the snakes. Bitten by snakes in your dreams. Oh yeah, I gave you some shit right there. All right, let's see. Do you recommend using demon spirits to cast spells, or do you think it's best to stay away from that?
Same.
Little bit of both. Demons require payment, always. And if the payment's not explicit, don't work with them. If they're vague, if they're evasive about those kind of things, don't work with them. They are there to try and enslave you, and you are enslaving them. Demons can't be trusted. So most times I wouldn't want to work with them. They can't be trusted. You really got to watch your shit. You got to know magical legalese. I still understand magical legalese, but it's like being a magical lawyer when you're working on pact language. You know, beware of words like in perpetuity. In perpetuity comes up quite often. People don't think about what it means. It means always and forever. You will forever pay for that thing. If your price is in perpetuity, that means probably once a month, once a year, you have to make a payment to that demon forever. Even when you become senile and have Alzheimer's and shit like that. So I'm gonna walk away for just a minute. My wife's making the give me another drink noise. I am also a mixologist around the house. I'll give you a little bit of time to collect your thoughts and you figure out what you want to ask about. Oh, I don't have the fountain. I'll turn on the fountain so you can get all this in, and I'll be back in 3 minutes. Jesus. We got one of crappy people. Yeah, don't remind me to take the glass. Alright, so you're gonna have to figure out something. They can't take liquids. So I'm just gonna have to take like random bottles and rock them in holes.
What kind of liquid?
Like in the kitchen, oils, the balsamics. Then I have.
Also, under my bathroom where the vanity is, the room where your closet is, we have those 2 floor washers. Remember that we use like the gardenia and the violet and stuff?
Then I got all the oils and stuff for making oils and all that. All right. It's not very roomy stuff. It's not going to take up much room. I left more room than I think
I
I
wonder
needed.
if you can ship it. Ship it to the address.
Running out of time.
Well, I know that, but I'm just wondering if you can do that.
All right, we're just talking about art stuff.
Are you recording?
Yeah, I'm still live. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I didn't even know that. How are you doing down there?
Huh?
How are you doing?
Kicking ass. The window is almost blocked with boxes. All right, I don't want to talk about that. Opinions, takes on astrological charts. A lot of people are gonna say the same thing, so I always like to say something different. There's this guy. He's here on YouTube, but he's all over the place. Jade Soul Luna, and he said this thing that just rocked my world one day, and he was fucking absolutely right. We got tropical astrology, but then we got Eastern, Vedic, and sidereal astrology. These 3 are the same. This one is not. Now, according to Jade Soul Luna, and it turns out it seems like he was right. The people that calculated tropical astrology did not calculate the wobble of the Earth's axis into their figures. So that would be the precession of the equinoxes, and everything would be affected by the lack of this calculation, making tropical astrology less accurate and less accurate over time. All these 3, Eastern, Vedic, and sidereal, calculated those into them. So they tend to be more accurate. So the way I understand it is if you're on the outer edges of the month in those other 3 astrologies, your sign might change. Your sign will stay, at least your sun sign will stay the same if you're more towards the middle of the month. But then...
Well, the rising and the moon usually change too.
Yeah.
They all
your rising and the moon. Yeah.
They all go back one.
Yeah. So when I heard this, I started trying to wrap my head around this because I'd studied the standard astrology. That's what I grew up with. And I only did enough astrology to cast spells and shit. I wasn't doing charts and that kind of thing, but I needed enough astrology to do it. But so then I got to test it. I got the what is it? Skywalk.
Yeah.
Skywalk. Yeah, the app for Skywalk. You pointed at a star, it shows you what it is on the map. Planet, whatever you got, that kind of thing. So, like the moon was, let's say, I got a notification that the moon just went in Virgo, tropically, because that app is using tropical. And so the moon's just entered Virgo from my point of view, Pacific, from my location. And I held up my phone, and Virgo was over here. Now, for the moon to be in Virgo would be that the moon was in that constellation in between me and it.
But
that's always been my...
According to my iLuna map, right now, the moon is in Taurus.
Uh-huh.
How does that work?
No. Well, that's what I'm saying. Is is iLuna using sidereal?
It doesn't matter. The difference between Taurus and Virgo is too big to...
I'm not saying that the moon's in Virgo right now.
Oh.
No. It was a hypothetical.
Oh, well then shut up.
I'm talking about years ago. Okay. No, you shut up. My job is not to shut up.
Yeah, okay.
It's opposite of.
Okay.
Any rate,
That's why
so
you're here.
I held it up when the moon was supposedly just went in Virgo. but the moon was not in line with the constellation of Virgo and my position. Virgo was over here. It was significantly out of that alignment. And that is the alignment I had come to understand what that meant. We finally had technology on our phones where we could do that. So I was able to look at that. And then so I started playing with fucking sidereal, and sure enough, when the moon was going into a thing and it said it was, I held it up, and sure enough, that's where it was. So I could see with my eyes and my technology the change that comes from the lack of the calculations between the sidereal and the chalk. Let's see, did I miss anything else? Can you predict stock market fluctuations with magic? I would think so. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. It's every witch has a pattern recognition system beyond the norm. For some witches, it can be astrology or tarot or numerology or a bunch of different things. For me, it's just like spell work. I have a spell work mindset. Constantly think of a thing in terms of how would that work in a spell. Marta over here, she'd have language and math. And when she first described it to me, she described it as a pattern that she sees when she looks at a body of text. And now, when I'm reading tarot, there's a pattern that it flows in. And sometimes a card can end up inverted, but that doesn't match the pattern that the rest of the story is flowing in, so that card gets flipped back to non-inverted, or it can get flipped to inverted from being non-inverted, depending on the flow of that story. There's a pattern to it, and all the cards must fit into the rest of that pattern. But then, some is astrology, interpreting the stars, or some math is pretty common for a lot of people. But what the hell is the question I'm trying to? So yeah, the stock market, I've watched it. It's this fluctuating, it's a pattern. There's a pattern to it. And I think if you stared at that long enough, used your pattern recognition system on it, you could get to the point. Now, I don't know if that's magic or mental powers. Mental powers are magic to me. So, yeah, you could. And you might even be able to, do that kind of thing with divination. I haven't won the lottery yet, but in theory, let's see. Hi, Birch and Marta, late to the party. Well, hello, Kevin.
That's so cute how people include me in their hellos.
Yeah.
I'm very touched.
She's very touched by your recognition. Recognize. I think the dog's waiting for that.
Dog. Why do you have a cigarette butt filter on the ground? Dog.
Sit. Art is so great. I love her input. Emerald City Mystic.
What?
Emerald City Mystic. You always say, ask anything. Got any good recipes for Southern style chicken? What's the Holy Trinity?
Holy Trinity is onions, celery, and bell pepper chopped.
We're just learning about Southern cooking. We've eaten a lot of it.
What were they asking about? What kind of chicken?
Southern chicken. Good Southern style chicken. Got to have the Holy Trinity. I mean, everything's got to have the Holy Trinity.
Not unless it's fried chicken. That doesn't need the Holy
I wouldn't need the Holy Trinity?
For fried chicken?
Yeah.
No, dear.
You couldn't put that like in the batter or something?
Why would you do that?
I don't know. Make it more flavorful. All right. That's what we got. Got the Holy Trinity.
That's not the answer. I doubt Holy Trinity is.
I don't have any good recipes. I go to Popeyes or something. Well, it's been a good crowd so far. We're doing Ask Uncle Birch. Random questions about magic and other things. Now we just talked about chicken. And earlier we talked about ants. Do you do magic when the moon is void of course? Or do you wait for the moon in a sign? I was taught not to do magic during void of course. But then another African tradition that I was in, they do magic in a void of course to keep your target from finding out you did it. So using the void of course to mask your attack or your approach. So over the years I've expanded. I do a little bit of both. Is a cow skull an appropriate incense burner? I think that would be cool as hell. Is it acceptable to do magic when drinking? I think so. I mean, it's probably best not to be drunk off your ass, and you're more susceptible to those forces when you are. I never drank, hardly anything. I drank when I was a kid when it was illegal, but then after that, I just wasn't a drinker. Growing up in Wicca and stuff, it was a long time before anybody had non-alcoholic wine as an option. So we were always getting a little tipsy at rituals. That cup keeps going, and you keep filling that cup until the bottles are empty. And everybody's got a little bit of a drink. But then, that dates it. Once upon a time, the cup was held aloft, the blade went into the cup, and the wine was blessed in this way, and then the cup was passed around. Now, this is in the 80s, so by the mid-80s, and, all the crazy stuff that people were thinking about AIDS and stuff, that's when Dixie cups became the thing. Paper cups around the circle rather than the actual communal goblet ritual, which is probably dead to this day. Let's see. I do magic when I'm drunk because it gets my feelings out. Well, that's sort of often saying to people, it's like you never want to take an action based on an emotion or take an action out of an emotion. But emotion is an extremely powerful force that if we can learn to master, we can evoke for the magic. The anger that I have towards somebody, I shouldn't allow to overwhelm me to where I take an action, but when it is time to take an action, I want to be able to evoke that anger to throw at them and throw it all at them. So emotion can be a very effective tool when we can rule it rather than it rule us. When emotion is ruling us, that's the time not to do a goddamn thing. You're all pissed off, you're all hurt about something, don't do shit. Not going to turn out okay. Trust me. Wait for that to pass. You can evoke that shit later when you need it. Got a couple other things here. Try to keep asking about dreams, but I get crazy dreams. I was half asleep, my voice said, someone waiting for, name starts with F from Israel. No one has heard of them. I don't know. See, that's like I was saying, the majority of the dream language is based on personal symbology. A house means something symbolically. But if you're looking at a house that you've seen before, that house in your symbology usually represents something that happened to you in that house, or feelings you had, usually traumatic events that happen to you. So that the house doesn't mean, security or home or any of the things that it would mean universally. It means an experience that you had in that house. So it's really difficult, if not impossible, to accurately decipher another person's dreams. So my kids, we start out day one. One of the things that they do is start a dream journal. They put some rosemary in their pillow to help them remember their dreams. Keep a dream journal under the pillow. And when they wake up in the middle of the night, they try and write their dreams down. I also recommend, drinking a bunch of water before you go to sleep, which will make you have to wake up in the middle of the night to go pee, and that's when you're going to remember your dreams. It's very difficult at first. Your dreams fall apart as you try to write them down. But there's a part of the magical mind in here, and it sees you trying to figure out these messages that they've been sending to you your whole life, and they move to compensate. They meet you halfway. Eventually, my hope, and so far it seems to work that way for my students, that eventually we can decipher that personal internal language going on, and that is a language of symbols. And if we can do that, and we have all that thing figured out in a book, then we can use that language to communicate to our subconscious to cause change in accordance with will, simply by filing a memo in the appropriate symbol. That's what I had to say about that. I remember a magician that used Star Trek characters as egregores. Do you think that would be possible? Yes, you're talking about Phil Hine, and his logic was fucking impeccable on that thing. He had an entire pantheon of Star Trek deities. Kirk, Spock, old school Star Trek. So if you wanted somebody's ass kicked, you called Kirk. His car broke down, he called on Scotty. Computer problems, you called on Spock. Communication problems, Uhura. On down the line. Then you call on a random red shirt guy. If you need somebody to die for you, I guess. I don't know. But his rationale behind it was fucking brilliant. He said that your average pagan deity has one or two stories attributing all of their powers to them. They've been repeated for thousands of years. Now, your average Star Trek character has about 5 years of stories. And they're watched countless times, and to this day, people are watching countless times, and there's this whole religious cult called Trekkies that focus so much energy on everything about it. You've got to be accurate as fuck, or the Trekkies will climb down your fucking throat. That's all energy focused on these characters, these deities. So, he called them egregores, but he was treating them like gods. He had an entire pantheon of them, and his rationale behind it was brilliant, and also shows us how we played a part in the creation of these things we call gods. Gods, goddesses all over the world, created from a universal energy we would call God, or all that is, or the universe, that kind of thing. But humans, by accident or on purpose, played a part in those creations of those gods. And chaos magic just kind of shows us how to do that. Phil Hine, his Star Trek pantheon. I mean, everything Phil Hine did was brilliant as fuck, and definitely the Star Trek pantheon. Thanks for bringing that one up. I don't know if my issue is applicable here, but any idea how you know if somebody's done black magic on me? Yeah. Well, you're here already. You're on my channel. When we get done here, I don't want to repeat all that when I don't have to, and that was pretty much the reason I started my YouTube channel, was so when people came into my shop and I taught them a bunch of shit, and they left my shop, forgot everything I taught them, and they called back and they lost their notes or whatever, I could go, I have a video about it. Just go here and watch that. So I didn't have to repeat myself. So on this channel where you're at right here, we've got at least 3 versions of how to break a curse. One of my older computers did a weird thing where the videos, the audio for the videos wouldn't work on smartphones. We eventually learned that if you plugged your headphones into that smartphone, somehow the audio worked. Never figured out how to fix those videos, so my How to Break a Curse video had to be reshot as a smartphone friendly. And I think at least 2 different times. I think there's How to Break a Curse, both versions, all 3 versions, are going to lay out the common symptoms associated with a curse. That's somebody doing black magic on you. I assume that's what you're talking about. We look through those symptoms. If enough of those symptoms are present, then we look for the remedy, and so those videos show you the common symptoms and the common remedies for a curse. You can get it removed yourself for a small amount of money, 20, 30 bucks, or you can pay somebody hundreds of dollars to do it for you. Let's see. Oscar's in here. I didn't even know that. So many questions. Let's see. Can you ask spirits for forgiveness? Yes, you can ask spirits for forgiveness. Not sure about pissing on the street, though. Let's see. What can be used as the ultimate road opener? Well, the thing that can be used as the ultimate road opener is road opener. Abre Camino. The Latin name, Abre Camino, literally translates to road opener. If you have a spell called road opening, and Abre Camino is not an ingredient within the spell, you do not have a road opening spell. You may have a removing obstacle spell or a Jupiter spell or something else like that. But to be road opening, that means it comes from a few specific traditions. And in those traditions, Abre Camino. Now, I'm not sure, but I've heard that there's a tree and a plant, and that they're not necessarily the same thing. I know in Palo Mayombe, we have one of our sticks, Palo means stick. One of our sacred sticks is Abre Camino. But I've heard somewhere that it's not the same as the plant Abre Camino. I'm not actually sure about that. That's why I prefaced it with the heard. I don't really know that. But you're going to need this, so in Palo, they would take the stick and grind the stick on like a cheese grater to be a portion of a powder for road opening. Abre Camino, typically the plant, the most common way, the Abre Camino bath, the road opening bath, which is not really a bath, it's actually more of a shower. Take about like a handful of it, boil it in like a gallon of water, steep it for like 10 minutes, let it cool off below room temperature. You stand in a shower inside like a little plastic tub thing. Naked, of course. You pour it over your head and let it cascade down your body into the plastic tub. You let yourself air dry.
Drink the contents of the tub.
No, don't drink the contents. And you take the contents of the tub, maybe pour them into some vessel, a bottle, or something like that. Typically, you're going to want to do this kind of thing on a new moon or a dark moon. So we collect the liquid that cascaded down us, put it in a container, take it out to a crossroads that we don't normally frequent, a place we don't go that often, optimally throw it in the middle of the crossroads. If that doesn't work, it's too busy, on the corner next to the crossroads. And that is the traditional road opening bath ritual, and it requires Abre Camino. Let's see if I missed anything. Seems like the older I get, the less I dream. Probably not. Everybody dreams, whether we remember it or not. A lot of people don't remember it. If you didn't dream, you'd be totally a whack job insane person. A little bit of rosemary in your pillow would help you remember the dreams, if you want to remember the dreams. But you're dreaming, you're just not remembering it. Or you'd be a loon. Just a week of no dreaming, you'd be a loon. It's a very easy curse to cast. Alright, so we're doing Ask Uncle Birch. I'm getting ready for my March 1st course, my Year in a Day course in witchcraft over at gumroad.com/witchschool, WITCHSKEWL. We have a whole assortment of other things there. I even have older Year in a Day courses that I put there as downloads. You can download half the year and then later get the other half the year because some people don't want to take a year in a day, and a lot of people apparently want to binge watch Uncle Birch, which I thought was kind of weird, but whatever. So I made those available for download. There's also my spiritual warfare series, the Art of Magical War. Got tarot class, witchcraft without Wicca, which I still need to do some more work on. That class is not done. But all over there at gumroad.com/witchschool, WITCHSKEWL. Emerald City Mystic loves the class, really worth taking. First part disappeared. First part of what? Are you still on hiatus from filling store orders? Ah, God. Apparently everybody heard that announcement, but nobody heard the one when we didn't. No, I've hired a staff now. We have revamped our entire system for the third time. We still, our email, our Sacred Grove 913 at hotmail.com is a sucky email box. We're slowly changing that to not be the store email because we got spam bombed, and it's a Hotmail account, so we get a lot of spam anyways. It's just unusable. can't even find most messages that we get sent there. So right now we're doing most things through witchschool@gmail.com, WITCHSKEWL @gmail.com, until we shift all of the things off of that page to the new email address. So it's kind of hard to get a hold of me through the old email address. But no, I hired some people to help me with that thing. We're actually, that's one of the first times I've been catching up on orders in a while. We still have, a lot of stuff from when things went wrong. We've got some old orders that we're just still finding out are out there. If you have an order outstanding, contact me at witchschool@gmail.com, WITCHSKEWL @gmail.com. So we're still catching up from the big crash and the other things that happened at the old site before we revamped it. But no, not on hiatus. I am in the midst of huge projects that I'm not going to talk about for at least another few days or so. But the shop's running. Oh, students' orders. Greater Ole. If you've got a student order that's in already, definitely hit me up. Students get prioritized. But if I don't notice that at the time, or you got a different name or something like that. So yeah, definitely give me a heads up if you're a student of mine and you've got an order in. When do you think would be a good time? Now I would think is a good time. We're filling orders faster than I have in quite some time because it's not just me doing everything. I made myself a grass doll. Would lavender be appropriate for one for dreaming? Have access to a full field. Yeah, lavender's good. Mugwort's good. Rosemary's good. All those good for dreaming stuff. Have I ever grown aconite? No. No, I've had kids most of the time, or a lot of the time. At least a lot of the time that I had room to like grow shit, and I don't know if dogs are around it either. But no, I've never grown aconite. Let's see, I'm gonna buy a bunch of candles from Birch instead of Lucky Mojo. Yes, well, most know that I don't get along with Lucky Mojo really anymore. We just don't talk about them anymore. And I never finished Cat Ironwood's Hoodoo course. I found there was really nothing new for me to learn there at all. What I found was that a lot of the witchcraft I grew up with.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Yeah?
What, dog packed or left out?
Oh, leave it out, please.
Leave it out.
Yeah, thank you.
And that water filter on them?
Oh, can
yeah,
you leave that out too?
Yeah.
Thanks for asking. And the coffee pot, definitely. Thank you. Oh shit. Anyway, where was I with that? What I really found delving into a serious study of voodoo is that the witchcraft I was brought up on was more like a hybrid hoodoo. It was like a hoodoo, but incorporating a lot of planetary magics and ceremonial techniques, which actually, when I was studying hoodoo, they were borrowing a lot of stuff from Solomon, and they would, put Solomon seals in their mojo bags and stuff like that. So maybe it was more traditional hoodoo, but I found, down to, small things that most people wouldn't think about, like the idea that an odd number of ingredients makes an active and an even number makes a receptive. I grew up with that. And while hoodoo doesn't come out and overtly say that, they'll have an active recipe and it has an odd number of ingredients, and they'll have a receptive recipe and it has an even number of ingredients. And they never overtly say, odd is active, even is receptive, but as I studied it and looked at the recipes, that's what I found. So it's like those were rules I grew up on. And in actuality, the first recipe books available, the magical formularies, were hoodoo recipes. The majority of the stuff in there, and a lot of people out there are still repeating Herman Slater's recipes from the magical formularies to this day as hoodoo. So the recipes the first recipe books they had were essentially hoodoo. So I guess I got the best of several worlds going on, but I've broken ties with Lucky Mojo a long time ago. Made myself a bleeding candle a couple days ago. What kind of workings with a bleeding candle? Is appropriate meditation exercise. Okay, so now I'm thinking right away we got a black candle with a red interior. Would that be a bleeding? I mean, that would look really fucking cool. But that traditionally, that was a reversing candle. I see people do candles with one color on top and one color on the bottom for reversing candles in this day and age, but traditionally a black candle with red inside it was a reversing candle, and it was used for reversing the spell. So that kind of sounds to me what I would think of as a bleeding candle. Look up God damn it. Look up mentalism, and you can learn. Well, or you can go to this year's Hex Fest. Uncle Birch just got signed on to the 2020 Hex Fest, August 9th to something. I don't even know that. I forget what day it is. It's on the 9th this year, though, I think.
No, I think it's on the 7th and 8th.
7th and 8th. Was it the 9th last year?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's like weekend earlier, which is actually good for us.
Yeah, you need to come to New Orleans for Uncle Birch. I only got one workshop this time. I don't have to work very hard at all.
I can tell you exactly what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's
The magic of the
7th.
mind. Uncle Birch teaching the workshop, The
Okay, let's
Magic
see.
of the Mind at Hex Fest this
I'm
year.
gonna tell you exactly when it is.
All right.
It's
Sonny's going. All right. All right. I just got on the official bill, so you can see the write-up I
okay,
wrote
yeah,
up for
yeah.
that.
It's August 7th to August 9th.
August 7th to the 9th. Okay.
And before, I think it was from the 9th to the 11th.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's like around the same weekend.
Sonny and her partner will be there. All right, well, come up and say hi.
Oh, Sunny and... Oh, well, no, I don't know.
I'm not sure if that's Sunny we know.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
I recall, and I don't know if she's here, but it was kind of cute. There was this one woman on the. When we got there last year, first time we were ever in New Orleans. We were on the riverboat ritual, and I don't think the moon was full, but it was quite a moon over the Mississippi River. And there's this one woman over here. She was kind of like wooging out, doing shit with the moon. You know, she was more into the moon than the ritual going on over here. And I'm like, it's kind of interesting. I'm kind of out here moon bathing too, and not really focused on the main ritual too, because I'm a moon child and stuff. And we met her, we talked to her, and later her partner or boyfriend says to me, he says, well, yeah, she's kind of starstruck. She's actually,
I was just
she's
thinking
actually in
that
your,
was the one you were going to talk about.
she's actually in your class.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've been interacting with this woman for, you know, hours, and she just, like, didn't want to mention that she was in my class. And,
I think it was her birthday that weekend.
I think it was her birthday weekend, and you know, I think once meeting me, you'll realize the error of those ways. I'm totally like this, I'm just like this. You know, come up and say hi. don't be tripping like that, man. It's flattering and all, but she was like starstruck and didn't want to fucking say hi. And I used to get that in my shop. People would come in that watch my YouTube channel, and they have this weird look on their face. And go, hey, how's it going? You know, that's fucking me. So come up and say hi. Sonny and your partner, Emerald City Mystic. You should go. On Healthy Vengeance, what if you have a really long list of deserving scumbags? Is it better to space out on Healthy Vengeance workings, or just get it all over with this quick? Well, unless you studied my course at gumroad.com/witchskewl, WITCHSKEWL, creating an army. Unless you've created an army, it's best to focus. And Sun Tzu said that in The Art of War. It's, you know, focus on a singular point and beat your enemies to submission. Destroy each unit utterly, one at a time. In a way, like there was a description of a battle, as I recall, and the two sides were coming together, and the other side's troops, they put the best troops in the middle, and so they're in ranks, they're in lines, right? So the middle of this guy's troops stops. These two ranks move forward, engaging the other two ranks that were not so good. These ones holding back, not allowing the best troops over here to engage in battle. When these two ranks were destroyed, this rank over here charges forward. These two ranks here close in at the flanks. You understand what I'm saying? You could ask such a question. I think you hear what I'm saying? So now that's some brilliant strategy. You're not allowing the enemy's best troops to engage in battle until you're in a position to surround them, having destroyed the other units on either side. And then there's, you know, the Blitzkrieg. That was pretty good until people figured out, you know, you punch right through and swing around the flank. Hit them in the rear. But yeah, so Sun Tzu would say, destroy each unit one by one. One by one by one by one. Don't, you can't, and then the 48 laws of power, they would say intensity beats extensity every time. Focus on one singular goal and beat that into being your bitch. Then go on to other goals. I constantly get aggravated at people when I'm on a project that want me to focus on this, that, and the other projects. Like, no, I'm gonna finish this fucking thing, because if I don't finish this fucking thing, I'm gonna do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I'm not gonna finish any of the fucking projects. I know me. So intensity beats extensity. Focus on a singular point and beat through that fucking point, and you can go on to other points one by one by one by one. You don't have so many fucking irons in the fire that you don't have enough heat on any of your fucking irons. That's my advice. Deal with those fucks. Those scumbags, sorry. Any hoodoo tricks on forgiveness? I know it's important, but I have a difficult time letting go. Well, I never adopted any of the Baptist principles while studying hoodoo, and I'm more Strega than anything else. And in Strega, the main rule would be never harm the innocent. I can live with that. Somebody I have to forgive is not innocent. I mean, maybe they made a harmless mistake or something like that they didn't intend to. I don't know. Those maybe I can forgive. I don't really know any techniques to help you forgive, but you know, by and large, it's like if you wronged me and you didn't at least apologize well, no forgiveness is happening. And it's like, and what I'm talking about is like, you can't say, you know, I'm sorry if I ever did anything that hurt you. If I ever did anything that hurt you.
You said if, but that's the key word.
Yeah. If.
Not I'm sorry that I did.
And if we've come to this stage of the game, I've probably laid out exactly what you did in great detail. I've given you a list of offenses, and in order to have an actual apology, we will need those offenses addressed. Failing that, we don't have an apology. Now, having said that, words are words. An apology without movement, nothing. Sun Tzu said, peace negotiations without an exchange of prisoners are pointless. Actions. You're negotiating peace, you exchange prisoners, you give back the enemy's troops, they give back your troops. Without that, you have no action backing the peace. You have no honor system going on. You need to have actions. You just can't have words. So, you know, just saying you're sorry, well, doesn't mean shit until you've made movements to, you know, if you can repair the damage you've done, unless you make movements to do that, or at least change yourself to where you don't do that again. We don't have a real apology, and we don't have a change in the situation at all. So, in that scenario, fuck forgive. No forgiving. All right, well, been here a very long time, and probably got to pee. But we'll do a couple more. If you have a couple more questions, let's do 3. Three is always a good place to call it. And we'll go elsewhere. Probably a few days before I can do this kind of thing again. But I found myself with a little bit of time, so I figured I'd do it as long as possible. Well, shit. Ah, damn. You know, I don't need cold beer since I drink IPAs. Damn it. That one sat in the sun. Ugh. Hot IPAs, not where's that? Got a good rule of thumb to recognize what you did wrong, then ask for forgiveness. But you don't have to forgive, and they don't have to forgive. Some things just can't be forgiven. Absolutely. Beer tea. Oh yeah, it was, dude. Spell to get the truth out of somebody that's lying. I recall a hoodoo thing using chewing John. I think it's also called Low John. I think it's the same thing as Galangal. Called chewing John. And you chew it. You have it in your mouth while you speak the words. You know, you will tell the truth, you motherfucker. Name them, name them, don't just call them motherfucker. It's probably the only thing that really comes to mind. The truth spell. But I do recall that one. So look at it. There's probably more to the spell, but if you find it, chewing John truth spell, Google that. I'll bet you find something. Okay, so that's one. All right, so we got two more. We're doing Ask Uncle Birch. Let's see if we got two more. Forgiveness must be earned. Absolutely. Like respect. Damn it. Trying to get the beer out of this on there. Wow. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see if we have two more questions. I'm getting ready for my March 1st Witch School to start. You want to secure a spot in the course, it's $35 a month for a year, and it's hosted through gumroad.com/witchskewl, WITCHSKEWL. The class will not appear till March 1st. Don't sign up to any of the other year-to-day courses. They're already going. But if you want to secure a spot ahead of time, you want to make sure that we don't run out of spots, which does happen. You can send me an email to witchskewl@gmail.com. WITCHSKEWL@gmail.com, and I can secure an unlimited amount of spots. Come March 1st, it's a free-for-all. People are just going to sign up for that thing, and whenever it runs out, it runs out. Have you ever felt like your spells turn on you? Emerald City Mystic. Well, you're one of my students, so I would hope that you're following the protocol. You're writing down your spells in your notebook, keeping detailed notes of everything you did, and closing that book. Not looking back at that spell for 3 moons. 3 months, roughly. You're letting that go. If you let that go, you're not going to be tripping. Because, watch, I got a video here on YouTube if you haven't seen it. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. Oftentimes that is the case when we do a spell. But it's a reaction. We took an action and we see a reaction based on that thing. Sometimes it can go a little haywire before it fixes itself. But just because it's going a little haywire doesn't mean that it's not working. Wait till 3 months before you declare it a success or a failure. Let the thing figure out what it needs to figure out. 9 times out of 10, they're not backfiring. But focusing on them after you've sent them and thinking about them backfiring can make them backfire. So stop it. Cancel. All right, great question. All right, we're going to do one more and we got to go. You're right. I forgot about waiting. That notebook thing it really works. Slamming the notebook in your face and just vowing not to look at it again for 3 months is an excellent way to release the subconscious from holding on to that thing. I came up with it. It's my idea. And a post-ritual bong hit, well, that doesn't hurt either. It'll help you forget. Use that lack of short-term memory. I think you're in California. I think so. Well, let's see if we have another question. And then I shall urinate profusely. I'm sure you needed to know that. But that sound of the fountain is sure not helping. TMI? Nah, they needed to. Alright, I'm not seeing a question. I'll give it a couple more. Give it another minute. Maybe you're tapped out. Your brains are overwhelmed with all of the knowledge that I spewed at you. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's my job. What else are we going to do? Gonna release that money program soon. Yeah, January's looking rather busy. So I'm hoping February got some stuff. Got some stuff coming up. You'll hear about it. You'll hear about it. Incredible stuff.
You're like Donald Trump. Terrific stuff.
Terrific stuff.
It'll be terrific.
We are gonna get tired of winning.
Nah,
I'm tired of winning.
I'm not.
I was told there would be winning.
I'm not tired of winning.
Not?
No.
You will be. You will be. You're welcome, Sonny. Come up and say hi at Hex Fest. Have any magical traffic court advice? It's better than magical. But carry a high John root into court with you. It won't set off the metal detectors. But this one I learned from Uncle Birch's brief career as a law enforcement officer. I know some of you are shocked, but that's a longer story. I never testified a whole lot because I was really good at writing reports. They never had to call me in too often at all, but I learned this little thing. It's called the 3-2-1 rule. When you get on the stand, if there's a prosecutor there, if there's a cop there, the other side's job is to ask you questions really fast and rattle your cage until you fuck up. The way they do that is by asking you questions really fast and rattling your fucking cage. That's the most common technique that there fucking is. Answer no question before 3 heartbeats. And you need to start this right away. When they ask you your name, you wait 3 heartbeats, slowly lean into the mic, speak your name. Next question they ask, 3 heartbeats, slowly lean into the mic. You need to establish this immediately, that you are a person that moves at that speed. If you do that halfway through the thing, they're not going to buy it. They're going to know that you're stalling. But you just need to establish that that is your personality. You move slowly, you answer slowly, you answer carefully. So just lean back, wait 3 heartbeats, lean in. And the one time I ever had to testify, the only thing I ever said is I leaned in after 3 heartbeats was, I have no knowledge of that. No further questions, they said. So that, for all court magics, is worth its weight in gold. It will fuck up the other side most times. Their strategy is based on that, being able to rattle your cage. Thank you for joining us for another fun and merry Ask Uncle Birch. Probably the first of the new year on this channel, I think. I'm not sure. Well, happy fucking new year.